Hey guys, this is part of my new series where I take a picture of a toy or character and turn it into a plush toy. Today we're going to make Forky. This time we're not going to make a jointed three-dimensional doll like we did with Benson. We're going to make this more like a plush toy. So let's get started. First thing we have to do is cut out all of the pieces of Forky. And by now you know I usually cut out more pieces than I need. That's because I kind of have an idea of what I'm going to do when I go into a project, but I'm not 100% sure, and it tends to change as I go. I will say that I'm having the most fun making these plush toys, like you have no idea. It's so relaxing to take a bunch of felt pieces and turning them into a character that you really love from your favorite movie or TV show. It's amazing, and I really recommend everyone try it. It does take a long time to cut out the pieces, but you can pretty much turn any picture of anything into a plush toy just by cutting pieces out and sewing them together. Here are all of our pieces. Every little piece that I could possibly need. I think I have enough stuff. First, I'm going to cut out a big piece of white felt and then tape Forky down to that felt so I can cut around it and make my spork outline. I know this is kind of unconventional and people usually use pins, but I didn't like how pins bend the picture and bend the felt, so I just decided to use tape, and it actually worked. So that's the method I started using. I placed the cutout of Forky onto another piece of felt and made my back piece. When you're cutting out two felt pieces, you don't really need to use pins or tape or anything because, as we all know, felt pretty much sticks to itself really well. So it makes it easier when you're cutting out a second piece. To make Forky's arms, I taped the piece with the arms down to some red felt and cut them out with a wide seam allowance. However, I didn't end up using these. I actually ended up making another pair later, but you know, this is how it goes when you're just making it up as you go. I cut out the mouth and eyebrows with no seam allowance at all because they were just going to be sewn directly onto the front piece. I cut out the feet, also using a big seam allowance that I didn't actually end up using, so we'll just skip past this part. Next, I cut out Forky's eyes, and he has one eye bigger than the other, which makes him look like a really comical character. So I cut out some white felt and some black for the pupils. I placed my printout of Forky onto my felt piece that I cut out, and then I placed my eyepiece underneath, trying to position it as accurately as possible. I sewed it in place, and then did the same thing for the other eye. I sewed on Forky's pupils. Then I sewed on his mouth. And his eyebrow. Forky's looking pretty good. Next, I placed the back piece on top of the front piece with right sides together and sewed around the edges. I cut the excess around the edges. Then I turned it inside out. And stuffed it with some polyfill stuffing. Then I sewed it up the side. I know it's tempting to want to use glue or hot glue to make your plush creations because it seems like it's so much faster. And it really is. But it's also very easy to sew your items as well. Sewing is pretty simple and it's a fun skill to learn. It's also kind of relaxing. Plus, you don't have any of those hard bits that you get when you use glue. Everything is just nice and soft and plush. There we go, he's looking great. Next, I recut out the arms using no seam allowance this time. Because what I plan on doing is wrapping it around the fork like this. So I'm going to sew up one side first, like this. Put it around the doll and see how that works out. Yep, that's working. So now I'm going to sew up the other side. Once I was done sewing the other side, I placed Forky inside of the arms and checked to make sure my positioning was right using my printout, and then I sewed it in place. I also recut out Forky's legs. I guess you could call them legs. They look like legs. Technically, I think it's some kind of clay at the bottom with some popsicle sticks for feet. But anyway, I'm cutting that out. This time without a seam allowance as well. I cut out two pieces because one's going to go in the front and the other in the back. So I'm just going to sew around the edges, leaving an opening at the top. This thread was kind of tangly and gave me a bunch of problems, but I was able to make it work. I cut out Forky's feet using some tan felt, and I sewed them onto the legs, the clay part. I don't know what to call that part. Let's just say I sewed it onto the bottom. I placed Forky inside of the leg piece and sewed it in place. This part was kind of tricky. I had to keep looking at the back side and I had to make sure to get the fork part connected to the feet. So I went out of frame a lot. Like a lot. It's hard to stay in frame and do this at the same time. And now he's looking pretty good. This is Forky. I can't believe it. Wait a minute. What is he missing? He can't be Forky without his rainbow on his foot. So I turned him upside down and starting with some blue thread, I made the rainbow. And I made it exactly like it really is on Forky's foot. The blue is on the outside, then it goes green, yellow, and red, and when he's right side up, it looks upside down. And that's it! Now we have a Toy Story 4 Forky plush toy. I think he turned out really good. I think this is probably my best one yet. So now we have Gabby and Vincent and Forky. I think Forky might be my favorite one. And here's the order they went in. It was Gabby, then Vincent, and then Forky. This is kind of fun. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time.